Yeah, thank you, Vishan. So let me just share my screen. So, guys, the topic for today's web development session is JavaScript, and today we'll be covering what is JavaScript, and then what are the different kind of variables which we have in JavaScript, like how to write a normal program to get started with JavaScript, and then like other programming languages, I'll be briefing about like how do we declare variables, what is the key difference between HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and then like we have functions in C, C++, JavaScript, and Java. So like that, I'll cover all the basic things of what do we have in other programming languages and in JavaScript also, so that it gives a kickstart to anybody who is a beginner in writing a JavaScript program. Okay. So let's talk about. So this is our agenda for today. Today I'll be covering all these key points, and after the presentation is over, I'll be covering some of the labs which are important, which would give us an overview of how to write in JavaScript program, how to execute it using Notepad or Notepad++, or using a Visual Studio. Okay. So, talking about the key difference of what is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is all about. So, HTML defines the content of my web page. Okay. So, for example, let's take an example of an shopping website, or let's take an example of a job portal. So, if you're opening that page, the structure of what that page holds is my HTML, similar to my human body example. So, what if we have our framework? We have our human body skeleton. So, that is what I can relate it to HTML. Okay. Then we have CSS. Like if we add designing to our web pages, if we add some external CSS, internal CSS to give some designing to my web page, I'll give designing to my tabs, I'll give designing to my buttons, I'll give some colorings, I'll give some effects over my page. So that is nothing but that is CSS. And then if we talk about the functionality of my web page, like how my web page would work, that is like that agenda is fulfilled by JavaScript, similar to the human body. For example, we have arteries, we have veins, which actually work to make our human body work. So similar, to make any web page work, to give it a functionality or to give it some start, we need JavaScript. Okay, so this is what JavaScript is all about. Like this was just a basic gist, and then to give an example, I just covered it with in human body, talking about some working example. Like if you take an example of calculator. Okay, so like while writing my calculator program, the design which I'll give to my calculator, like my buttons, how my buttons would be displayed on the screen, that I would achieve it through CSS. And then if I want to um, write a calculator program, obviously I'll need a structure. Like without HTML that would not be possible, so my structure would be given by HTML to write in calculator program. And talking about the functionality of my keywords, like if I'm writing an addition program, so I'll be having two buttons, like creating those buttons, what are my labels on those buttons, and then how on the click of my button, how like I'm designing my program of additioning of two numbers or subtracting of two numbers. So that is achieved by JavaScript. Okay, so like in the later part of today, I'll tell you how do we declare variables if you're writing a calculator program, or if you're writing to add two numbers. So yeah, this is an overview of, this is in gist of how these three HTML, CSS, and JavaScript languages are related to each other. Okay. So let's talk about what JavaScript is. So JavaScript is a list of programming statements. Okay. JavaScript adds functionality to my program, as I told you, and JavaScript is the programming language of the web. Okay. So like on web page, if I want to give any kind of functionality, if I want to make my web pages work, so for that I'll be using JavaScript. Okay. And then as I told you, like other programming languages, we have variables in JavaScript also. So how do we declare a variable here? I will declare it by let or const symbol. Okay, so variables are used to store values. We know this. Like any kind of value, if I want to store. So for example, if I want to store a float, or if I want to store a integer value, or if I want to store a constant value in my program. So to declare all those kind of variables, I'll be using here let or const to declare my variables. Okay, so JavaScript uses var, let, and const to declare my variables. And similar to other programming languages, here also to assign any kind of value to my variable, we'll be using equal to symbol. Okay, and then if you're having two or more declaration, to differentiate that declaration, we'll be having a semicolon here. Okay, and then we have arithmetic operators like this to compute the value. So we can use these arithmetic operators directly by adding two numbers to compute it. Okay, so these are my arithmetical operators which I'll be using today while running the labs. So the important thing here to make out is like how do we declare a variable to get a kickstart to my program. So like to start my any program, we have to declare variables, and to declare a variable, I have to use this let constant var keywords. Okay, is this clear, class? Like, am I going a bit fast, or how is my pace? Any, if you need any clarifications on any of the topics, like you can just interrupt me. I'll start the topic again, or I'll just try to explain it in a more better way. Okay. Okay, I hope things are going clear. So yeah, this is my variables part, and then coming later, so like how do we give output to my JavaScript? So these are the four statements on the screen through which I'll be providing output to my JavaScript code. So to, like, for example, if I want to in C, for example, to give it a clear context, so in C we were using printf and scanf, and then in C++ we use cin and cout. So similar to that, we have these four statements if I want to display any kind of outputs to my web page. So I have inner HTML. Okay, by writing into an HTML element, I'll be using inner HTML. I'll show you by writing the code. And then we have document.write. We're writing into the document HTML output using document.write. And we have windows.alert. So for example, if we have if you want to print anything as an alert message, so for that we have window.alert. You can try all this outputs by writing a normal program also, or a hello world program. And if you want to write into the browser console, I'll be using console.log. So these are the four statements which we have to print and output in JavaScript. Okay, and then we have some keywords in JavaScript, like we have, as I told you, var, let, and const are used to declare a variable. So we'll be remembering this very thoroughly. Like we're writing my program, we have to remember this actually. Like var, let, and const is used to declare any kind of variable. Okay, and then if we are writing a conditional block of statements. Okay, so if we have like if I want to compare, or if I want to match a condition, for example, marks is less than 75, so print the statements. So for that, for writing any kind of conditional block, I'll be using if. Similar to that, we have switch, marks a block of statements to be executed in different cases. Then we have for loop, marks a block of statements to be executed in a loop. Then we have functions. Okay, then we have return statement and try. So like, class, are we aware of entry control loop and then exit control loop? I believe all of you are graduation students, right? Are we aware of what is entry control loop and then what is exit control loops available in programming languages? Okay, let me just make the question a bit simpler. Like, which loop, in which loop, if you're using that loop, like condition would be executed at least once while writing while using that loop. Like my question is, whenever I'm using that loop, my condition would be executed at first. At least once my condition would be executed, and then even if the condition is false, it would come out of the loop. But at least once that particular condition is being executed. Any ideas, class? Okay, so like we have coming in JavaScript right now. So we have different kind of loop. Okay, so we have for loop, we have do while loop, we have while loop. So while is an entry control loop, class. Do while loop. Okay, so whenever I'm using do while loop, what happens in do while loop is whenever I'm writing the condition, first I'm using do and then I'm writing a condition. So in any case, even if my statement is wrong, once my code would be executed in do while loop. Okay, so we have for loop marks a block of statements to be executed in a loop. So if I'm having a condition, for example, I is less than 0, I plus plus, like checking for 5 conditions and then incrementing my I. Okay, so I'll be using for loop. Then we have do while loop, we have while loop. Okay, and then we have functions, as I told you. Then we have return to exit a function. Like JavaScript, you can relate class to other programming languages. It is, I guess, 50 to 60%. It is almost similar to C, CPP, unless it is written in Notepad plus Notepad, or the console is simpler to C and other programming languages. Like in C, we have Turbo C, we have compilers available. But in JavaScript, we don't have anything of such. We just have to compile it using Notepad execution only. Okay. So yeah, do while loop is an entry control loop, okay? And then if I'm saying entry control loop, what I mean is like at least once my condition would be executed, even if my statement is wrong, okay? So in entry control loop, at least once any type of condition is being executed here, okay? Then we have function. So the main thing to note here in function is like to declare a function here in JavaScript, what do we have to do is we have to make sure that we are writing this particular keyword, which is function, and then the name of my function. It can be anything like ABC, XYZ, Apple, Mango, any name of my function, okay? So here is my function name, and then it has to be ended, like I have to end my function within two round brackets, okay? And then whatever condition, so for example here I'm printing apple and ball, okay? So like whatever condition, whatever statements I'm putting inside my function, I have to make sure that is inside a curly braces, okay? And then the function should always start with the name function followed by the function name. And then we can give any kind of name, smaller case, uppercase, any names, okay? And then we have JavaScript statements can be grouped together in code blocks inside curly braces, etc. And then the purpose of code blocks is to define the statements to be executed together. And then one place you'll find the statements grouped together in blocks is in JavaScript functions. Okay, like why basically we use, like for example, if I'm writing a function, I can call it anywhere in my program whenever I need it. So in C we have like pass by reference and then pass by value. So here we don't have such things. We can pass my arguments here also, but I'll not be doing that. I'll just write a normal function program and then some statements to be executed, and then I'll try to call my function. Okay. And then this is my structure of how I'll be writing my JavaScript program today. Like we have HTML to bring my structure, okay, and then in the body section of my program, I'll be writing the actual code, like whatever intention we have for writing a program. So, for example, my intention is to write an addition program. So all this main content, my intention or my agenda would come in the body section of my program, and then always, whenever I'm writing a JavaScript program, I have to make sure that I'm using this keyword, which is script. Okay, so script is the keyword which is mostly which is used whenever we are writing a JavaScript program. Okay, and then we have closing tags and then opening tag. So in HTML, whenever we are having an opening tag, we have to make sure that we are closing that tag also. Okay, so let's begin with the session. So in the lab, what I'll do is like I'll cover the output statements which we have in JavaScript. Okay, so I'll cover that, and then post which I'll cover some string functions, and then I'll cover whatever like some inbuilt functions of string, and then normal string, normal function program, and then let's see how it goes. Okay. Any doubts, class, in the presentation? Anybody is having any doubts on any of the topics or any questions for me? Okay, I'll assume that things are clear. So let me just start with my program. Okay. So what I'll do is like first thing in HTML, whatever what we write is doc type.html. Okay. Doc type is my HTML. This is to specify that this document is an HTML document. Okay. And then we have an opening HTML tag. And then so for example, this is a this the first program is like a hello world program. Okay, so I'll just make it a bit simpler. I'll directly jump to body. I'll not use any kind of headers and all those stuff. So directly body, and then as this program is a JavaScript program, we have to make sure that we're using the script tag, and then document dot write, since I'm writing a keyword hello. Okay, and then let's just come out of it and then end our tags / script. So here class, you have an option of using Notepad++, wherein if you're opening a tag, automatically the closing tags pops up. But yeah, if you're just a beginner, you can start with Notepad, simple Notepad also. And then we have to always make sure that we are ending our HTML program with .html. And then let me just save it. Let me just go to the destination now. So yeah, as I told you, like we had statement, which was document.write was my first output statement, which I used. And then similar to that, I'll show you another example also. Like the second one was window.alert. Okay. Here in window.alert, what I'll do is I'll try to add two numbers instead of writing a particular string. Okay, so we will add 2 plus 2. Okay, and then we'll end it with this. Control S, and then let's rerun. And then if you can see, like whenever I'm using window.alert statement, what I'll have is like I'll be getting my output as in pop-up. Okay, so this was my pop-up which I got. And then herein what I did was like I did a direct addition. So what next we'll do is like we'll declare two variables with var, let, and const keywords, and then we'll try to add those particular keywords. Okay, so what we'll do is like I'll be using third statement, which is inner HTML to print my output. Okay, so before that, what we'll do is like since this is a program to uh, add two variables here, so what we'll do is let, as I told you, a comma b comma c. Okay, so I have declared these three variables here, and then what I'll do is I'll just define them with some values. For example, a is equal to 5, and then since this is an I'm passing some value, I'll separate it with some semicolon. B is equal to, let's say, 5, and then in C I'll just try to store my output here. Okay, so C is equal to a plus b, and then I'll end it. And then what I'll do is while writing my print statement, I'll try to print my output in C. Okay, using inner HTML. Document dot get, and then this is case sensitive class, element element by id. Okay, I'll provide my id later. Dot inner HTML, and also class, this inner HTML thing is also case sensitive. Like HTML has to be in uppercase, and here I'm trying to print C. Okay, so here whenever I'm using inner HTML.c print statement, I always have to make sure that I'm using document.get element by ID. Okay, where my ID should be unique. Okay, so what we do is before my script function begins, we'll try to declare this ID. Okay, which is a key identifier. Like how do we have our IDs, PAN number, Aadhaar number? So this would like identify my code. Okay, so let's just declare my ID. P ID is equal to let me take here demo. Okay, so I've taken here demo, and then I'll try to end my paragraph slash p. Okay, and then whatever ID I have declared in, I'll be using it here. Okay, this was my program document.get element, and here also class element e should be in uppercase, in by also by should be in uppercase, and I should be in uppercase. Okay, this is mandatorily to be followed. Okay, and then what I'll do is to make it understandable, I'll just have a header tag also here so that it's easily understandable. This was an header tag class h1. Okay, let me just save my program and try to run it. Okay, my output is not coming. Let me check. Inner HTML. So class, like this is also one thing whenever we are writing our, okay, this is, yeah. So whenever we are writing our JavaScript code class, JavaScript is highly case sensitive. Okay. So whenever we are writing a JavaScript program, we always have to make sure that we are following the case sensitiveness properly. Control S. So yeah, if you can see, I got my output as 10. 5 plus 5 was 10. So similarly, I can perform any kind of operations. For example, here I'm performing division. Control S. Yeah, if you can see, we can perform any kind of outputs there, any kind of operations there inside my whenever when I was declaring my variable. Any doubts, class, here till here? Or you can just review the program once, and then if you have any doubts in this output statement, you can just let me know. Okay, so let's move ahead with the other programs. So what I'll do is, like, we have inbuilt string functions. In C also we have str, then we have concatenation function, then we have uppercase, lowercase, all these functions. So we'll see how those functions here, how those functions work here in JavaScript. Okay. Let me just remove this ID also. And then what we'll do is, like, since this is a string function program, so I'll write it right here. Okay, and then we'll directly begin with, so let's just declare two variables, and in this string function I'll convert my uppercase to lowercase. Okay, so I have two variables here where str is equal to, let's say, welcome, and then I'll write it in uppercase, and then I'll try to convert this uppercase into lowercase. Since this is a string, I have to end it with semicolons, and then where. And then also, class, like, we have to declare two variables here, because in my second variable, what we'll do is, like, let's say, let's just keep it simple to make you all understandable. So let's say, like, this is my welcome, and then let's just start with calculating the length here. So let me just declare another variable which is length, len. So how it would happen is str dot, like, for example, str is my above variable, so str dot length is my function. Okay, length length, and then I'll end it with this str dot length. So what it would do is, it would try to go to my str variable and then try to see the value. So my value given to str is welcome, and then dot length is the string function which I'm using here. Okay, and then what we'll do is, like, and we also want to print this output, length output, like my output is stored in this len. Okay, similar to how my a plus b c was storing my value. Okay, so similar here also, like, len is storing my length value. Okay, so what we'll do is, we'll try to print it. So let me just use the simpler printing statement, document dot print, and then we'll try to print len. Okay, and then let me just end it with a semicolon, try to do control s, and then rerun this code. Let's just check what's the error. Str dot length string function str. Okay, and then where len is equal to str dot length document dot write len script body html. Let me save it again. This I have ended where str, I have declared an str variable wherein I have given a value, this, where len is my second variable where I want to calculate the length, str dot length document dot. Okay. So this was there, document dot print, document dot write. Okay, so if you can see here, the length of that particular string, let's just try to calculate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have the length as 7. Okay. Also, class, be attentive now. Why you all of you are sleeping? Like, if I am making an error, you should just pop up saying, like, you have to change this, you have to change this. Make sure that all of you are aware, watching the lab very carefully. Don't just sleep in evening at 4:40, 4:58 itself. Hello, am I audible? Vishant, Praveen, the other guy, I'm not able to pronounce the name. Kiran. Guys, be attentive, okay? Do not sleep. If you're having any doubts, you can just ask me. You can ask me any questions related to web development, JavaScript, anything, cloud, how it works. Okay, so this was my one string function, which was str.length. Okay, and then let's just Let's just do another program. Now I'm so upset with all of you. Guys, please respond. It's actually very difficult to keep talking when somebody is not responding in a presentation, okay? So let's just try to find out character at a particular position, okay? Let's just have two words here, and then this program is to find out the character at a particular position, okay? So like I'll be having str dot here, and then if I want to find out the character at a particular position, so char at, and here also a is case sensitive, okay? And then I want to find out a character at 3 position, okay? So I'll be passing the value here 3, okay? And then I'll try to print my len value, which is storing this character. Okay, so like the character at 3 was D. Okay, so let me just try to explain 0, 1, where 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. So since indexing begins at 0, so 0, 1, 2, 3. So at third position we have D. Okay, like in arrays, if you have learnt, like every time my indexing should always start with 0. Okay, so here also my indexing started at 0, and then at my third position I got D. Okay, let's just try to change the value here. Let's just try to put here 5, okay? Control S. The character at fifth position was M, okay? So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4th, 5th, okay? If you know, this space is also considered at one position, so that's why my M was my 5th position, okay? Let's just try to do uppercase, lowercase now. So my morning is in lowercase, so I'll try to convert it in uppercase, okay? So we'll not do anything, we'll just remove this str, and then since this is in lowercase, then here we'll have 2, and then we'll have u in caps lock upper, and then we'll have c in caps lock, C uppercase. Control S. So like this was the way in which I converted my lowercase to uppercase using two lowercase function, okay? And then what we'll do is we'll use this lowercase also. So for lowercase, L should be in caps, and then lower, and then let me just write it anything. ABC is in caps lock, and then I want to convert it in uppercase, okay? Like uppercase to lowercase. Let me just read on the program. So I converted my uppercase to lowercase using this particular function, okay? And then let's just try to see other functions also. So for example, if I want to replace, okay? So we have functions also available. So for example, let's just have good morning itself to make it understandable. So we have good morning here, and then I want to replace my good with hi, okay? So what we'll do is we'll be using replace function, okay, which is inbuilt. REPLACE, replace, and then we have to pass the arguments here. So first argument would be the value which I want to replace. So I want to replace good with comma hi, okay? Always class in replace function, since here we are passing arguments, and replace always needs two arguments, okay? So my first arguments would be the value I want to replace. So here I want to replace good, so I have passed my value good here, and then the newer value which I want in place of good is high, so I'm having high, and then I'm printing my output which is stored in len value. Control S, and then if I can see, I'll be getting my output as high. Any doubts, class, in all the string functions we have? Any doubts? Okay, so I have other program also. So like I have covered this output programs, and then all the string functions. Let's just have a look at other programs also. So similar to that, we have a date program, which is date is an inbuilt function in JavaScript. So let's just see how it works. So in date class, we just have to use this keyword date followed by two two round brackets, okay, and then herein I'm using an event which is an on-click event, okay. I'm declaring a button also in this particular program. So I have a button type is equal to button, and then on click of my particular button, this is my output statement, okay. And then I'm trying to print date, okay. We can use normal things also. For example, I can use document.write or window.alert, and then we can use this particular function available. That is simple, okay. So here what I have done is on the click of my button, I'm trying to display the date, okay, and then the printing statement which I have used is inner HTML, okay. So as we know, whenever we are using inner HTML, after equal to comes the value which I want to print. So for example, in my declaring variables program, I was printing C there, if you remember, okay. I was printing the C, which was like A plus B, wherein A into B, like the output was stored into C variable, okay. So herein I was printing my C. So similar to that, I'm printing date function here, okay. So let me just show you this program. If I click on this program, I'll get the output. Whatever is the current time and date, it would come, okay, according to my C system, okay. That would be displayed. So let's just see other program, which is a function. Okay, so as I told you, whenever I'm declaring a function, what has to be done is function keyword has to be used, okay, followed by function name and then round brackets, okay. And these are the two statements which I'm trying to print, okay. So the first statement is good morning, and then the second statement is good, okay. And then I'm trying to print my function, and then I'm trying to print my outputs using inner HTML output statement. So we can use your window.print, we can use your window.alert, we can use your anything, okay. Window document.write I can use, okay. And so all the statements I can use here to print my statement, okay. And then what I'm doing is similar to date function, okay. Similar to date, what I was doing was I was calling the function on the click of the button, okay. So here also what I'm doing is I have created a button, okay, and then on the click of my button, I'm trying to display my function, okay. So on the click event, I'm trying to call my function which is ABC here, okay. And then these are the two IDs which I have declared. So if you're using inner HTML output statement, so you have to mandatorily declare the identifiers, which are unique IDs. Okay, so these are the IDs which I have declared, and then on the click of my button, I'm trying to display my function. Okay, so let's just see the output of this. So what my program was, on the click of my button, my function should be displayed. Okay, so here is my button, which is there on the screen. Okay, on the output screen. So this is the button, and then on the click of my button, it would go to my it would enter this particular brace, and then it would try to display these outputs. Okay, so on the click of my button, I'm getting this good morning and then good. Okay. And then all these programs I've covered already. Any doubts, class? Anybody is having in any of the topics which I covered today? Okay. So class, you'll get your assignments from your mentors. And then if you have, in case if you have any kind of doubts, you can always reach out to me. You'll get my number from your mentors. And then thank you so much. And then all the best. Bye.